Hi, my name is Jonathan Dunne, and this is the first in a series of talks called Theological English. I'm a translator of literature. This means I stand between the source language and the target language of a text. That text passes through my mind, through the sum of my experience, into another language. But the point is that it passes through me. And I would like to suggest that everything in this life passes through us, or we pass through it. You might think of air when we breathe, it passes through us. Food when we eat passes through us. Conversations when we hear what other people say passes through us, and we tend in that process to take what we need and to expel the rest. And I think this is a process very similar to the translation of a text. It passes through us. And not only do we give that text meaning in another language, but we ourselves receive meaning when we translate it. But we like to think of ourselves as authors. We like to think that things begin with us, when in fact they don't. Even life does not begin with us. We receive life from our parents, and we pass that life on to our children. So I would say that everything in this life passes through us. It does not begin with us. But we take a very dim view of translation. We tend to regard it as second-rate, inferior, not as good as the original, when actually the original text, so-called, is a form of translation. The author is writing down their impressions, the things they've learned, what they've heard, using a language that they did not invent. But we think of it as being original. Only God is original. Things only begin with Him. When something begins with you, you are in effect talking about a line, and it starts with you and goes on. So we might show it like this. But I would like to suggest that for humans, we are on the receiving end, and things pass through us. The idea of the line is very interesting in language. We have nouns that can be concepts like love, justice. And note that with these nouns, we don't use the indefinite article a or an. We talk about love, justice. These are concepts that are very often difficult to define, to put a line around. But when we talk about objects such as a book, a table, something that we can draw a line around, we include the indefinite article a or an, and we make it countable. You can have a table, two tables, a book, two books. So when we take something that is around us and we draw a line around that thing and we define it, therefore, we make it countable, and it becomes a or an, a bottle, a car. All these things are different from concepts. They're objects that we can conceptualize and in our mind or on a piece of paper draw a line around them. I would like to suggest that in the beginning of the book of Genesis, when God created man, what in effect he did was separate us off from himself. He drew a line around us to make us a or an. The name of God in Exodus is I am who I am, Exodus 3:14. Am, God, made an, something countable, a person. Am, an, gives a man. Man is made up of am, the name of God in Exodus 3:14, and an, the indefinite article for something that has a line drawn around it. Now, why did God separate us off from himself? Though, of course, we can never be separate from God. We are contained within him. But within him, we have a line drawn around us. I think he did this to give us free will. He made us separate from himself so that we could make our own decisions, make our own choices. Now, I would like to contrast that with what we do in the world. We take things that were already here, that already existed, that flow, if you like, in front of us, and we package them. We draw a line around them. It might be a barrel, a pipe, a bag, a can. So we imitate God. We make something that flows continuously like rice or oil into a bag of rice, a barrel of oil. We do exactly the same as God. We define, we draw a line around. But we don't do this to give the things free will. We do this to trade, to make a profit. We actually take things that are freely there. The earth does not charge us for the products that we use. And we put a price on those things in order to make money. And I would suggest that when we take that author role upon ourselves, we actually are perverting things from their true purpose. We're putting a price on them, and from that drawing of a line comes all the confrontation and conflict in the world. So God drew a line in order to separate us from himself and give us free will. We draw a line in order to make money, in order to count what is coming in and what is going out. And it is precisely the way that we draw a line around something with metal, plastic, whatever it is that we use, our definition, our packaging, that causes so many problems to the environment, that pollutes our land, our oceans. This line where you are claiming that something belongs to you and therefore you can take possession of it and sell it to another person is something we have to move away from. And I think that is the purpose of human life, to move away from the line. It is curious in English that the ego is represented by the line. I, capital I, this is a line. It is curious that the number we start counting from, 1, is also a line. We make the mistake of not starting to count from 0. We teach our children not to count 0, 1, 2, 3, but to count 1, 2, 3. So we again start from the ego in effect. And I would like in the next video to look at the ways that there are in language of moving away from the line, which is, in effect, the purpose of human life.